And of course, it's time for On My Grind. And in studio, we've got Lerato Sengadi, and she is a public relations specialist. And she's going to be talking to us about what it takes, what was her journey to get to where she is. Thank you so much for coming through and, just having this conversation with us.
Lovely. Love being here.
So, we're going to just wheel it back to, at what point?
At what point what?
At what point did you decide, this is the thing for me?
Actually, I decided it wasn't what I studied. I studied copywriting and marketing communication, and that's what I graduated in. And I still went to work in an advertising agency.
Yeah.
And I think when it turned out that maybe advertising and the culture around it was not for me, that's how I actually fell into PR. I stumbled, I tripped, and I landed into the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And it was, there was a lady called Suzette who gave me my first PR break at the SABC. And because I already had the marketing background and I had the writing background, it sort of made sense. So within maybe a month or two, I was well on my way, and that was more than 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago.
What did you study in school?
I studied marketing communication and copywriting.
What was your plan?
To be a copywriter, to make amazing ads.
Yeah, when you're in school, you have an idea of what it is that you want to do. And before you go and get the know-how of it, you've probably seen someone doing it and then, yep, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
So how did you decide marketing and copywriting was the thing that you wanted to do?
I wanted to be a writer of some sort. I initially thought I was going to be a journalist because I've always loved writing. Yeah. And then I met a friend of my mom's, Happy Njingila, who's within the advertising and marketing space in SA, and had a very interesting conversation with him. And it's like, well, you are a creative writer.
Yeah.
Why don't you have a look and investigate what copywriting and what advertising is in SA? And at that point, there were not a lot of Black young people within that space, and that's sort of how I got into it. Yeah.
And when you finish campus, did you get the job immediately, or did you have to tarmac a bit? Because here in Kenya, one of the biggest challenges is there's no jobs.
Yeah. Well, I got headhunted actually. Just before I graduated, I already had a job. I think because my portfolio was also quite good, my school portfolio. So
what do you mean your school portfolio was good?
So when you the collection of all the projects and the briefs you've done throughout your sort of varsity life, you put them together, and that's almost your CV to go shop for work within the advertising space.
So you were working while you were in campus?
Yeah, you that's what it is. You're taking all that work that you do for school.
Yeah.
Because it's real life briefs, some of them, and that's what you go and show sort of your creative process, how you think, how you tackle marketing problems, essentially,
And so because of your work in school, companies were willing to come and headhunt you in campus. Okay, so you finished campus, you got the job. Did you enjoy copywriting?
I enjoyed copywriting, but I think the advertising culture in South Africa was just not for me. And I think the advertising culture as a whole was something that I didn't quite enjoy. It was not like it was not like it for me. So then I left and I went to the US and I went to study media law. And then I dropped out because they were teaching me American media law, which obviously in relation to South Africa was useless. And then I came back and I stumbled into PR just because I loved, that's really what it was. I loved writing, I love being a creative, and I'm a very good speaker and people person. I'm very shy though. Don't be fooled by all of this. I'm extremely shy, but I'm very good at what I do. And
tell us about your first. You've gotten into PR, and you've left the marketing space behind. You've left the college behind. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna get right into this. Tell us about your first project that you were told, okay, now you're in charge of this project.
Oh my goodness. So I used to be responsible for all the hospitality suites that the SABC had around the country. So for rugby, soccer and cricket, right? And you have to invite media to write about the story, blah, blah, blah. And I had no idea how to write a press release. I knew what I wanted to say. I just didn't know how do I write a press release?
Yeah.
Thank God there's Google.
Yeah.
Because that's how I did my first press release. And I didn't know that, okay, you invite these people, and when they come to your suite, you don't just carry on about your own business. You actually have to host them and make sure they have all the right information, all the right images. They use the right, the right wording and naming conventions. And for me, it was such a shock. And I think it was one of the very, very, very big cricket games that were happening in Joburg,
Yeah.
like probably South Africa, West Indies, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was shocked to poops at like how much actually goes into being a publicist, because I was thrown into the deep end. They were like, oh, okay, cool, you can speak well, people like you,
Yeah.
you're likable, oh, you cute, you know,
Yeah.
you can write your English, lacquer, you're good,
Yeah.
go. Wow, shell shocked.
So you realize there's more to the job than
There is
you're actually.
way more,
And that's what we want to
way
talk
more.
about. When we come back, what is the nitty gritty?
Catch the vibes on air and online.
26 minutes past 9 a.m. It's Kwambox and Mbunde on Morning Vibes, and the station is Vibes Radio. Remember, you can get us on 104.5 here in Nairobi, or you can go on to vibesradio.co.ke. That's www.vibesradio.co.ke. In studio, on my grind, we've got Lerato Sengadi.
Yes, and in this hour, we're talking about public relations from
Yeah.
where you started to right now. What's your biggest challenge that you've ever faced in terms of a client called you and told you, yo, I need your help?
I think, you know what, we are constantly dealing with crisis management in the back. Like, I can't think of a single client that I've had that hasn't at some point had something that we need to fix really quickly. You know, and it could be anything from maybe an ambassador doing some type of weird something, or, you know, certain products having to be recalled because of certain things. It happens it literally happens all the time.
And your job is to ensure that you know, the image of the brand still maintains.
Yes, and to really keep calm, because I think I'm a dipstick for my clients. So if I'm panicking and I have a very panic and worried look on my face, then my client already knows something is
wrong.
very, very
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of people always see me like this at events or stuff. I'm always like this because I'm always watching and I'm always making sure things are done, because all it takes sometimes is one tweet, one bad post, one bad experience at your event for everything, or like months of hard work to come tumbling down, you know. So I'm always on, literally. You saw me yesterday. I'm always like this. I'm always on.
What, in terms of the work that you do, what gives you the biggest joy? Because a lot of people probably go to do PR, you know, in school, it's one of the options. Like, hey, what are you going to do? I'm going to study this thing. What's this? PR? Yeah, I'm going to do this. This alphabet looks good.
I think for me, it's really shifting perceptions about products and brands. And my biggest joy is seeing the hard work that myself and my team do come to life.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's 2 years of work for one day of glory, you know. And it's also just seeing that communication to Black people can actually be cool. And it just takes someone who is Black to do that and fight with certain brands and say, no, this is not how we actually are. I know that's what you think, but this is how we are. And every time I have those little victories, for me, it really means a lot, because it means we're shifting the perception and shifting how we're being communicated at.
In your industry, PR, do you experience many sleepless nights, especially for a country like South Africa?
Listen, what is sleep? What is sleep? What is sleep? Sleep doesn't exist in my world. Like, you know, yesterday Sheila was saying, oh no, don't sleep too late. You're going to be late. You're going to wake up late. I'm like, yo, there's been days where I have to sleep at 5 and have to be up at 7 and be sitting somewhere with a client at 8. It's just how I live on a lot of Red Bull. I live on a lot of Red Bull, a lot of water, and just, you know, just taking care of myself physically and mentally. I see a therapist even, you know, I know that's not like a popular thing, but literally those are the things that help me, you know, manage my schedule, manage my life, and manage all the expectations from my clients.
When you look at PR in which is what you're doing now, is this something you'll be doing forever?
I think I'll be doing PR or some sort of PR for a very, very long time. I think the only other alternative will be for me to be a housewife, because
As drastic.
because I love it so much. Like, you know, I go through so much. Like I say to you, if you had to pull up my pants now and look at my knees, I got battle scars, because publicists are always being dragged in one way or the other, you know, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it so much. Like, it doesn't even feel like a job. It just feels like a calling. Like, it's so fun to build brands and and guide them and turn nothing into something. It's amazing.
There's someone who's listening to you right now and saying, okay, I think I'm gonna get into PR. What should they be looking at? What should be the reason why I joined PR? Because, you know, you could think, okay, you know, I'll be paid a lot of money.
Matt, did you say money? What a joke. Okay, well, the money is good eventually. Yeah.
But what, you know, when you're getting into that career, what should they know?
That you're going into the trenches, that PR looks glamorous, and for the most part, it is. But as the publicist on the job, it's not glamorous for you. It is literally the trenches. That's why you'll never see me in high heels, because I need to be I'm literally in the trenches. You must know that, you know, if you don't love it, don't do it, because the love for PR is what's going to get you through most of the uphills, which are a lot, you know. If you don't love it, don't do it. And if you try it and feel like, don't do it. You have to fully love it and fully commit and fully be able to give up sleep and give up a lot of family time and give up a lot of fun things. Although you will be within the fun space, doesn't mean you're having fun, sis. Trust me.
Because I'm like, you know, where do you see PR people? At events, you know, hanging out with the celebrities.
Carpets.
You came to Kenya to, you know, to do this event with an international football star, Dwight York. You've been to France, you've basically traveled the world, hanging out with all this amazing, you know, Usain Bolt, and you know, somebody's looking at that and saying, what did she say? You know, I want to be, that's the life I want to live.
Yo, listen, like, we are Roth Media, right, is a Joburg based agency, right, and we're a small agency of the oldest person is probably 38 and we're 20, right, and you'll look at us and think, wow, guys, it's so great. But if you come into the office during pitch season, big campaigns, we all look like we're about to bite each other's heads off. But we know that we're fighting for the common cause, which is to win, which is to get results for our clients, which is to move the gauge in communication, which is to just do amazing and really cool and relevant things. You know what I'm saying? So if that's not the kind of, you just want to look cute and, you know, look like the publicist that's 9-inch heels, like you work at Vogue magazine, sis, bro, save yourself. It's not, it's nothing like that.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about, we spoke about this yesterday, and we touched on it a bit in the previous hour, but we're going to talk about Africa being the hot point right now, and PR. I don't know whether we should call it lazy PR. That's, you know, misappropriating our culture for their profits.
Amen.
Catch the vibes on air and online.
All right, so Lerato, we're talking PR. When you look at Africa, everywhere you go, there you find an international brand, an international product. Brian, you can attest to this, right? You see an international product, and then they don't even try to change the product to see how it fits this market. You know, how do I communicate this, you know, to these people so they can understand it? What they do, they just like, because Africa is where it's at. You know, and you feel like some of these brands are becoming disingenuous with the info. What do you feel about that, being in the PR space?
For me, what's very important with the brands that I work with is localizing the messaging, localizing the comms. That's the most important thing. I'm not going to take something that's worked in Europe and just try and adapt it as it is to my market. That's rude and condescending to the consumer.
And you know what they do? Like, for example, think of, like, let's say there's a juice brand called Juicing, and that was very creative. And they come to Kenya. Maybe it's in Europe, and in Europe it's juice your way to health. They bring it to Kenya, and then they'll put that same in Swahili, and that's it. And it's like, that is not enough.
You know what it is? There's certain things like payoff lines, etc. you can't change with the brand, right? But for instance, if they drink that juice ice cold or semi-frozen in Finland, you guys drink your drinks warm here. They
don't say that. Don't.
No, it's an
say
example.
That.
You know,
it's a lie.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Okay, it's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So it's about knowing what works for that market. Yes, payoff lines we can't really or certain statements within the brand we
Yeah.
can't
Yes.
mess with. But you have to localize the rest of the communications where you have control, or at least fight for it. Fight for it, because the laziest thing that a lot of advertisers and marketers and communication people do is just take what they're given and run with it because it's easy. That's lazy.
And also it's because the client is like, yo, listen, do this, and you don't even feel like you need to advise your client.
The thing is, the client came to you because they don't know. Else they'd be doing it themselves,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
that's always my thing. Guys, this won't work. I'm not even going to embarrass myself standing behind something that I would be embarrassed seeing it as a black person or
Yeah.
an African. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's not play ourselves, because we're the ones that are in the position of saying to these international brands, yo, no, that's not going to cut it. Like, that's not it. And it gets heated. Like, these arguments get really, really heated where sometimes you're close to being fired. But I'd rather be fired standing for something that I believe in and something that I know that is right than to be embarrassed and put out some mediocre, non-appropriate messaging.
As we wind up, of course, Africa, Africa for Africa. And we have a lot of young people. In fact, they're saying in 2030, we're going to have the largest youth population. It's, we're going to be at 80 or 70%. People living under the age of 40, or 40. And we're still seeing a need for African youth to connect.
Absolutely.
What is your role in that?
My role in that is like with platforms such as these, right? Where, how I see Africa, I love traveling the continent because I get to see what Africa really is, like my Africa, the way I experience it. It's not CNN's Africa or Sky News' Africa. It's the Africa that is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think if more people start maybe even following each other on social media, seeing the realities of each other, then you'll see we actually have more similarities than we do not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to use our platforms in sharing that message.
What are some of the myths you've debunked coming to Kenya that, some of your fans are like, oh, they have Wi-Fi in Kenya?
They don't have lions in the office.
I think that the first one was really like, when people think Kenya, people think Maasai, that they're like just walking around the streets in like, the plaid cloth. And obviously that's not a thing. I also learned that y'all are goat country, like goat as a meat is like a
because you guys
real
love
thing.
mutton.
It's Mutton King.
Yeah, you
King,
guys love.
sheep.
Yeah, sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mbuz. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What do
Yes.
you call sheep in the?
Mbuz.
That's goat. Mbuzi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyway, y'all are those kind of things. It's great. And I will keep saying the warm drinks thing. For me, I was so shook. Like, who drinks warm beer? Who drinks warm gin and tonic? Who drinks anything that's not tea or coffee warm? Like, those kind of things. And it's interesting because now I know if I have to come and bring my other brands here to do something here, I will not even invest in the ice machine.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Straight from the ship to your throat.
But
not me.
Okay, what's one thing you've loved about Kenya that you want even Kenyans themselves to know,
appreciate.
and appreciate?
Yo, the spirit of Kenya, like, wow, like Nairobi, this people are just like the energy here. I'm from Joburg is a city and it has that heavy city energy of like almost like competition and a bit of a dark cloud, you know.
Yeah.
But here people are just so chilled. The vibe, the energy, people are polite. Manners,
Yeah,
like
she
I'm
kept
big
saying-
on manners. People are so polite.
Yeah.
And I love that because you can't help but be polite back. Because if you're not, then you're just that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. Of course, I let you go. I know you have a flight to catch in a bit. What is, and I know you keep coming back to Nairobi. What's that one message you have? Because there's a lot of young people who are listening to you. And I remember we spoke about this yesterday, about how when we were in Big Brother, we already woke.
Yes.
And when we're telling people like, the connection to want to go to Nigeria, to want to go to Ghana. And a lot of people at that time were like, oh, if I'm going to get my money, I'm going to the States, I'm going to Europe. I have to see Europe first. What would you tell a young person who's tuned in right now about Africa and what they should believe in?
That they should strive for a modernized, not westernized Africa. That's it.
I like that. Strive for modernized and not westernized Africa. Hey, you society, as we have so many loans, from the Chinese.
From everybody.
Do you know what?
China practically owns half The continent.
Next time when you come back to Kenya, you need to use the SGR.
Yeah.
At least so we know we are paying for something.
Yeah.
guys,
What's
that
the
you get.
SGR?
It was standard gauge. Okay, these guys have Gautrain.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Gautrain.
Gautrain, yes.
So which is a speed train.
Yes.
And you're trying to tell her about that.
SGR King.
It's a standard gauge railway.
And it's what? Fast?
It's fastish.
Fastish.
Fast-ish.
98.8 FM, Nyeri. Pan Vibes Radio.